Klay's had a number of incredible single-game performances, though, guys, including an NBA regular season record of 14 threes in 2018, scoring 60 points on 11 dribbles in 2016, and setting a record with 37 points in a single quarter in 2015. So that's all pretty good, Richard. Which one's Klay's best individual game?
Again, good for Klay Thompson to have some of the most historic games, and he's still in the prime of his career. Obviously, I think the playoff one. I remember watching the game with my teammates in Cleveland, and we were praying that Oklahoma City won, right? Like, we did not want to face the 73-win team that had just beat us the earlier on Christmas Day. So we were praying, and then Klay Thompson, he didn't just rip the hearts out of Oklahoma City. He was just punching us all the way across the country. Like, we would pray for Oklahoma City. So I would say your best performance is always your best playoff performance. And Klay, that was one for the ages.
Come on. It's that game. There's no other game that compares. I don't care what the regular season games are amazing. The 11 dribbles. That game, dude got so hot in an elimination game for a 73-win team that his own coach turned to the fans behind him, the Thunder fans, and started laughing after Klay hit a ridiculous three in transition. And not only did he rip the Thunder fans' hearts out, he kind of ripped KD out of the Thunder, because if the Thunder win that game, NBA history is all different. That is an all-time game, all-time.
The NBA history is different because then we end up beating Oklahoma City instead of Golden State for the championship.
Cocky.
Wow, RJ. I totally agree with both of you guys. The Game 6, that is the most important game for all the reasons you just said. I do want to highlight, though, the 60-point on 11 dribbles one. I love it because it speaks so much to who Klay is as a player, what kind of ingredient he is on the floor. If I was trying to explain Klay as a basketball player, one of the things I would do is point to that game about why he is such an incredible asset. It's what he is able to do without needing the ball in his hands as much as so many of the other guys. I love that game. Watching it was so fun. But again, that Game 6 you're talking about, that is the one. Now, I want to switch gears to Damian Lillard, guys, because he spoke to Jalen Jacoby yesterday, and here is what he said when they asked who should win the MVP this season. Take a listen.
This year, MVP, I mean, if you said either one, I feel like it would, nobody would have a problem with it. But me personally, I think it's this season, I think it's LeBron. They're number one team in the West. They've been consistent all year long, and for him to be at the age he's at with the amount of miles that he has on his body, how often he's talked about, the pressure they put on him and every little thing that he does and the level he's performing at, I feel like, in my opinion, I think he's the MVP.
My favorite part of what Dame said there was, I think if you went either way, no one would have an issue. Clearly, Dame does not follow NBA basketball Twitter, but everyone has an issue. Zach, do you have an issue with what Damian said?
Look, I love Dame. I think he actually belongs on the MVP ballot somewhere in 4th or 5th or something like that, even though Portland has a losing record. That's how good Dame was. But yeah, I think he's wrong. I think Giannis is clearly the MVP. And actually, we were shaping up to have a real race. Remember, it's hard to remember. It seems like 10 years ago, but Giannis was injured. LeBron and the Lakers had just beaten the Clippers and the Bucks, and it was looking like LeBron could close the gap. And sadly, he didn't get an opportunity to do that. So I think Giannis is clearly the MVP if you freeze the season where we froze it.
I agree. I think if you stop the season there, but I think one of the problems is that people get crowned the MVP in game 40 through 60, right? And I think sometimes it does carry weight the rest of the way, but a lot of times it was like the reason why people were crowning him MVP is one, because of their record, 2, because of what they did to the Clippers, and 3, because of what they did to the Lakers. That was why, and obviously his historic numbers. But fast forward to the last 20 games, then you watch how the Lakers beat both the Bucks, both the Clippers. LeBron James was playing extremely well. So you're like, hey, he's making a push. So that's one of the problems when we crown someone MVP very, very early on. They're only three games back with multiple games to go. So if the Lakers had the same record and LeBron James was leading the NBA in assists and averaging 25 points a game, had the number one seed in the Western Conference, which is a far harder conference, you could make an argument that they would have had a better record if they would have been in the Eastern Conference than Milwaukee Bucks. So I think that if you were to stop it today, it was probably Giannis, but ultimately I think LeBron James would have finished strong enough that you would have been a toss-up.
I think that's a great point about process, Richard, and I think some people listening to this are going to have a hard time separating a conversation about process versus just, oh, my guy's better. But the process is really important here because, Zach, I remember you and I had a conversation on your podcast right after the shutdown happened, and we talked about MVP, and you said, is there any case to be made for anyone besides Giannis? And I said, well, Giannis is hurt right now. And who knows how long he would be hurt. And you just don't know. So to say it's a closed issue when you don't know about the final quarter of the season is something I think that all of us as voters have to be, we just have to be more cognizant of. And that is not to say LeBron over Giannis. My leader in the clubhouse was Giannis. I think if we just take it from the shutdown, yes, it is Giannis is the MVP. I just would like to see, like you, Richard, the process be a little bit different for all of us because a race to the end is more fun anyway. Maybe the Lakers would have had the best record in the entire league. We just don't know how it would have turned out. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.